All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're looking into something pretty interesting, actually, overcoming porn addiction. And here's the twist, we're looking at it from kind of a spiritual angle this time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, one of our listeners sent in the blog post. It's called 8 Steps to Recover from Porn Addiction Dynamic Meditation.
Okay.
And it's from this website called Learn Mini Habits. And get this, it talks about using the teachings of Osho.
Osho. Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Right. He's that spiritual teacher, known for having some pretty, shall we say, unconventional views when it comes to sexuality.
That's one way to put it.
So yeah, I'm really curious to see how all of this comes together.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique combination. You've got those like standard addiction recovery steps, admitting you have a problem, getting support, things like that.
Right, right.
But then they're bringing in this whole other spiritual element with Osho.
Yeah, and the post does start off pretty familiar. It talks about like first recognizing that you actually have an addiction, and then seeking help, building a support network, that kind of thing. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
But it also mentions like struggling to quit as a sign that maybe you're dealing with porn addiction. Like, if you find yourself neglecting your responsibilities because you're spending too much time watching porn,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a, pretty clear warning sign according to the post. I mean, have you ever like noticed anything like that in your own life?
It's definitely a question worth asking yourself. And it brings up, this whole debate that's going on about what's normal these days when it comes to porn.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many different opinions out there. You have people who think it's completely harmless. Then you have others who see it as morally wrong or damaging. And it really varies depending on like cultures and religions and, even just individual beliefs.
Yeah, no, for sure. It can get really, really complicated, all the different opinions. But getting back to this blog post, this is where things start to take a bit of a turn because they bring in, like I was saying, they bring in the ideas of Osho, and he wasn't exactly quiet about his views on sexuality.
Oh, no, not at all. He definitely challenged a lot of traditional views. Some might even say they were, well, controversial.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see how they connect his teachings to this whole addiction recovery thing.
Yeah, and from what I remember, I mean, he was all about meditation, right? And this idea of transforming sexual energy.
So they're suggesting that's like a path to recovery, not just like trying to resist it all the time.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where, his views on Tantra and celibacy come in.
Okay, yeah, Tantra. Now that's a whole other.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, Tantra, in Osho's perspective, is about, like exploring the spiritual potential of sexual energy. It's not just about physical pleasure.
Right, okay.
He believed it could be used for personal growth and even spiritual growth. And celibacy, the way he saw it, wasn't about repression. He thought it was more like a state that could happen naturally, like through self-discovery and meditation.
Okay, so it's like a very different take than what a lot of people think about when they hear these terms.
Definitely. And the blog post seems to be like really going for this approach. I mean, they have this whole section, like 8 steps to recover from porn addiction. And the core of their solution, they say it's Osho's dynamic meditation.
Dynamic meditation. Now that's something I've heard a little bit about, and it sounds pretty intense. Like is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely intense. It involves like 5 stages, and each one is meant to work with your energy in a specific way.
Okay.
You start with like chaotic breathing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just letting out all those pent-up emotions and stuff. And then you move into catharsis where you just express whatever's coming up.
Okay.
Then there's this intense jumping and dancing. Like they really want you to shake things up.
Ah,
And it ends with like a silent phase and then a celebration of life.
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, the idea is that by moving through those stages, you can release the energy that might be fueling the addiction.
Okay. I mean, I've done some meditation before, but that's definitely not your typical meditation class.
No, no, definitely not. And it's worth mentioning, while meditation can be great, you should always approach anything this intense with caution,
Right.
especially something that's, designed to be so physically and emotionally demanding. You might even, talk to a doctor or a therapist before trying it, just to be safe.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. It's not something to just like jump into. But so, does the blog post like talk about any of the more, I guess, traditional ways to get support?
Oh, yeah, for sure. They specifically mention Sex Addicts Anonymous,
Okay.
and then there's Smart Recovery,
Right, right.
as options for finding a community and working through things with other people.
Yeah, because sometimes like That's really what you need, just having other people who understand what you're going through.
Absolutely.
It can make such a difference.
And there's, a ton of resources online too, forums, apps, counseling platforms, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, the post even lists a bunch of them.
It's like they've done all the research for you. You
Exactly.
can just explore and see what seems right for you.
So it seems like they're really presenting two different paths here. You've got these, traditional support groups, and then you've got Osho's more unconventional approach. I'm kind of curious to hear more about that side of things.
Me too. I mean, it's definitely an interesting mix. And I think what's important is, the post isn't saying that one way is right and the other is wrong. It's more about like finding what works for you, what feels right for your own journey.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
There's no one right answer here.
Definitely. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll keep digging into this whole idea of transforming sexual energy.
Sounds good. It really is. Like having all these different tools you can use.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So this idea of transforming sexual energy, like how does that actually work?
Well, Osho believed that like sexual energy is this really powerful force, like incredibly powerful.
Okay.
He saw it as something like inside all of us that could be channeled,
Hmm.
for things like creativity and love and even spiritual growth. But but you have to approach it with awareness,
So it's not about like ignoring those desires or pretending they're not there.
Right, exactly. It's more about understanding them and transforming them.
Okay. And Osho thought meditation could help with this, right?
Oh, absolutely. He saw addiction as like this symptom of a deeper imbalance.
Okay.
And his meditation techniques were meant to address the root cause.
So it's not just about stopping the behavior on the surface.
Right. It's about like shifting the energy underneath it all.
So like instead of just trying to suppress the urge to watch porn, you're trying to change like the energy that's making you want to watch it in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that can be really empowering,
How so?
because it gives you this sense of control over your own recovery.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like you're not like powerless against your desires or whatever.
Right. It's about understanding them and then working with them.
And this kind of ties back into what we were talking about before with tantra, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, for Osho, Tantra was about going beyond just the physical act. It was about like a deeper connection
Okay.
and awareness. And when practiced with love and awareness, he believed that Tantra could be a powerful path to spiritual growth.
For both partners.
Yeah, yeah, for both partners.
Okay, so how does all of this relate to overcoming porn addiction specifically?
Well, the blog post suggests that by by working with your sexual energy through these techniques like dynamic meditation,
Hmm.
you can start to heal those underlying imbalances that might be contributing to the addiction. You know?
So instead of just trying to like white knuckle your way through it, you're actually transforming that energy.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the post acknowledges that, there are different viewpoints out there
About.
about porn and its place in society.
Right.
I mean, there's this ongoing debate, right, about the potential harms and benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Which is, I mean, it's an important thing to remember because, you know, there's not one answer that's going to fit everyone.
Right.
Everybody's experience with porn is different, and their path to recovery, like if that's even something they want, is going to be different too.
Absolutely. And regardless of what path you choose, the blog post really emphasizes this, seeking help and support,
Hmm.
whether it's through therapy or support groups or spiritual practices or a combination of all those things. It's important to remember that you don't have to go through this alone.
Yeah, no, that's so true. There are resources out there, and there's definitely hope for recovery.
For sure.
And speaking of resources, I mean, this blog post actually lists like a ton of them. They've got websites and apps, online counseling platforms, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it's like they've done a lot of the legwork for you.
Right.
You can just explore those options, see what feels right.
And it's really encouraging to see just how many different approaches are out there.
Hmm.
It really emphasizes that recovery isn't just like this one thing. It's a journey.
It is. It is a journey. And there will be ups and downs along the way.
Yeah.
But, the key is to just keep moving forward. Be patient with yourself and compassionate with yourself.
This blog post has given us so much to think about. Like it's a complicated issue, but seeing all these different viewpoints and approaches is actually really encouraging.
Yeah, there's a path out there for everyone, no matter like what you believe or where you come from.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it's about figuring out what helps you live a healthier and more fulfilling life.
Yeah, it's about taking back your power and living in a way that feels like true to you and your values.
And that's a journey worth taking.
Yeah, it really is. And this deep dive has definitely taken us down some unexpected paths.
It has.
We started talking about, a blog post with 8 steps to overcome porn addiction, and somehow we ended up exploring like the depths of Osho's teachings.
It's been quite a journey.
It has, and it really shows just how complex this issue is. Like, there's no easy answer, no one-size-fits-all solution. It's about figuring out what works for you and what you believe in.
Exactly. And the Post does a great job of presenting, a bunch of different options.
Yeah.
We've got traditional support systems, things like therapy and support groups. And then we have Osho's more unconventional spiritual practices.
Yeah. It's like you were saying before, it's a buffet of resources.
Exactly. You could try a little bit of everything and see what nourishes you.
And that's what I love about doing these deep dives. It's not about telling you what to think or what to do. It's about giving you the information and the tools to figure it out for yourself.
Right. It's about empowering you to take control of your own journey.
Yeah. And that's where we're going to leave you today as we wrap up this deep dive. We want to leave you with a question, something to think about.
Given everything we've explored today, what resonates the most with you? What feels like the most authentic path forward?
What feels the most empowering for you?
We encourage you to, sit with those questions. Think about your own experiences and trust your intuition. There's no right or wrong answer. It's about finding what works for you.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources out there, communities you can find support in, a whole world of information waiting to be explored.
So keep learning and keep growing. Keep diving deep. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time. It really is. And this whole deep dive, it's taken us down some pretty unexpected paths, hasn't it?
It has. Yeah.
We started off talking about this blog post, 8 steps to recover from porn addiction, and we ended up like diving into the teachings of Osho. I mean, who would have thought?
It's been quite a journey, that's for sure. And I think it just goes to show how complex this whole issue is. Like, there really are no easy answers.
No, definitely not. No magic bullet or anything.
Right. It's about, finding what feels right for you, what aligns with your values, your beliefs. It's your own personal path.
Exactly. And I think this blog post actually does a really good job of presenting, a variety of options.
Oh, yeah.
Like they talk about the traditional support systems, like going to therapy, joining a support group, but then they also bring in Osho's, well, shall we say, more unconventional spiritual practices.
Yeah, like we were saying before, it's like a buffet of resources.
It really
You can
is.
try a little bit of everything, see what works for you, what nourishes you.
And that's what I really love about doing these deep dives. It's not about us telling you what to think or how to live your life.
No, no, not at all.
It's about giving you the information, the tools, so you can, make your own decisions.
It's about taking back your power, really.
Exactly. And I think that's a good place to leave things today. As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a question, something to ponder, something to think about.
Yeah. So after everything we've talked about today, all these different ideas and perspectives, what resonates most with you?
What path feels right?
Like, if you were to explore this further, what feels the most authentic? What feels the most empowering?
Those are really good questions. And there's no right or wrong answer, obviously.
No, not at all. It's about finding what works for you, what feels true for you.
Yeah, we encourage you to really sit with those questions, think about your own experiences, and trust your intuition. It's a powerful guide.
And remember, like, you don't have to do this alone.
No, not at all. There are resources out there, communities you can connect with. There's a whole world of knowledge just waiting to be explored.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep. You got this.
Yeah, you got this. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another exploration of, well, who knows what. We'll find something interesting.